Let's talk about Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake system versus Bitcoin proof of work mining. Now, for those of you who've listened to me before, spoiler alert, I like the ETH 2.0 proof of stake system better. I think it's more secure and will be more decentralized. But let me say, Bitcoin, it's not a shit coin, right? Bitcoin's not Cardano. Proof of work, Satashi Nakamoto, if it wasn't for him and his great invention, the proof of stake, this next generation would not be here. And really, in order to understand this, you need to first understand how proof of work works. And then let's talk about Ethereum 2.0, proof of stake system, and why I think it's a step ahead. So let's dig in and let's try to keep it simple so we can understand how these things work, okay? So you've got your crypto network, you've got your computers, right? They're all connected. All these computers in the network. And then you've got your ledger, right? So you've got a block closes and it says, I own 1 coin and he owns 2 coins and someone else owns 3 coins. And then we send some money around. It creates a new block on the ledger and all the computers get updated. Every computer knows who owns what. And then there's another block and they all agree and upload. So the big question was, well, how do we know that this computer doesn't say, hey, everybody, I got the next block, and it says that all the coins are owned by me, and then all the computers say, okay, and then they upload it, and now this guy just stole all the money. How do we prevent that from happening? Satashi Nakamoto said, I got an idea, my friends. He included humans in the algorithm. He included human greed into the algorithm. Brilliant. How did he do that? So in order to approve a transaction block, the computer needs to do work. The computer needs to solve a puzzle. Just spend energy running a computer to solve a puzzle. And when they solve the puzzle, then they broadcast it to these other computers and they say, okay, and they can just check the answer. So in order for the way these networks work, and they all may have a slightly different percentage, but with Bitcoin, in order for somebody to control the network and lie and say, all the coins are mine or something, they would need to control more than half of the computers in the network. Okay, so let's say one guy says, I'm going to own all these computers, and then I'm going to do all this proof of work so that I win, and then I can broadcast false stuff. But what happens, so notice now you look at this network, and this guy, the bad guy, owns all of these computers. And so what happens is the guy's like, geez, I own half the Bitcoin network at this point, more than half of the Bitcoin network. Why am I going to fuck up the ledger and screw up my investment? Because now I'm the biggest proof of work. I'm the biggest miner in the whole Bitcoin network, and I'm going to ruin the network? He's going to lose a lot of money. So, and also, one thing is also with Bitcoin says, you need 51% to do an attack. Well, the reality is you need a lot. You probably need this many. So why would somebody who owns all these computers, so the point is, doing proof of work creates a system where you have a stake in the system. The Bitcoin miners have a stake in the system. Proof of work is proof of stake because doing the work creates your stake. And this isn't the steak we eat for dinner that the Bitcoiners love to eat steak. And we're talking STAKE, an ownership in the system. Okay. So now the invention of proof of stake, and there's a lot of proof of stakes out there, and some of them are horrible, right? Ethereum researched proof of stake from some of the smartest developers in the world and researchers, including, the one and only Vitalik Buterin. They studied this stuff for years and years and came up with their own version of proof of stake. But what proof of stake says is, instead of solving puzzles and spending energy, which is expensive and slow to prove your stake in the system, how about you just take your ETH coins, which have real value, and lock them up in the computer. And so now, if these guys, and so now in order to attack the system, you don't have to solve a ton of puzzles and spend a lot of energy, but you'd have to lock up a lot of ETH. Now you've got all that locked up. Now in proof of work, if you fail on your attack, you still have your computers, you can try again. In proof of stake, you do your attack, and then Ethereum says, oh, we know who just did that. Guess what, guys? All that Ethereum gone. We just deleted it all. Well, now the network's a lot smaller, but the bad guys are gone, and they ain't coming back again. A lot of ETH just got burned. The price probably goes up. They can't really attack again. Okay, so the point is, in theory here, proof of stake makes sense because proof of work, the work is just a way to have a stake. And Satashi Nakamoto, it's not like he was like, oh, he's stupid, he didn't think of that. There were no coins to lock up. He created the first coin. It wasn't an option back then, And who knows if he stayed around? I mean, who knows what he's doing, if he's alive, or she, or they, or whatever the heck it might be. But the point is, that was not an option when Satoshi created Bitcoin. Okay, but now that is an option. And what's a better way to have a stake in the system? Locking up coins? It doesn't cost, it costs something in that you have to lock up your coins. But it's not spending energy. It's a lot faster to prove, oh, there's coins there, rather than solving puzzles. Now, the other thing is, and this is where, a lot of Bitcoiners, in fact, if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, here's the thing. This is where you're going to want to, block your ears, or maybe you got to turn it off now because, you don't want to ruin your narrative or anything. But, there's a lot of talk about Bitcoin fixed supply, because in 100 years from now, they won't print more coins, and Ethereum unlimited supply, because they don't say that 100 years from now, they won't print anymore, right? Both Ethereum and Bitcoin today print. So like we said, these validators are processing that they're doing their work, holding their stake, whatever it is. They have a stake in the system, process a transaction. But why do they do that? They do it for the reward. If it's Bitcoin, every block, new Bitcoins are being mined, and they get sent to the computers that process the transactions. New Bitcoins are printed. Fixed supply, meaning no more than 21 million, in 100 years. We're not there yet. They're still printing every day, okay? Ethereum also will its validators who have a stake in the system, and it does it, and then when a block is created, it also prints some tokens and sends them to the network. Here's a question for you. Who's printing more tokens every day? Oh, it must be Bitcoin, right? They're the deflationary token. No, Ethereum's printing less. Now, we'll talk about how also Ethereum also burns tokens in transactions. We'll get to that, okay? In fact, Ethereum currently is printing less because of the burning of tokens. When Ethereum 2.0 comes out, not even counting the tokens that they burn with transactions, Ethereum will be printing fewer tokens than Bitcoin in order to ensure security. Ethereum is already in 2021, the total amount of Ethereum, never mind fixed supply, the total amount of Ethereum has decreased. Because although they're printing slightly more new tokens for security. Now, Ethereum's currently still on proof of work until we move to this proof of stake system. And they're printing a little bit more than Bitcoin. But because so many people are using the network, spending transaction fees, those fees are burning Ethereum. Ethereum has been deflationary. The Ethereum supply has been decreasing in all of 2021, I believe. I think it started in 2021 that Ethereum became, no, I'm sorry. It's all of 2022. Oh, shoot, I can't remember. For a number of months, Ethereum's supply has been decreasing. That is negative, it is deflationary. Whereas Bitcoin, I believe, does about its total supply increases about 2.5% a year. Ethereum's supply before proof of stake will increase, let's just say that increases 4% a year. But if that's the case, and I don't remember what the exact number is, they are burning more than this amount, so Ethereum's supply is decreasing by 1% already, and we're not even have ETH 2.0. Now, the plot thickens. One other great point about both of these systems, another great point for Satashi Nakamoto, our hero, is that these systems are dynamic. They are created so that they don't have a death spiral in mind. The death spiral won't happen. When Bitcoin starts correcting, we're heading into a bear market. There's a lot of people doing the mining, and the price starts going down, then they stop mining, and they start selling their Bitcoin, the price goes down more, and then the media talks about how there's a death spiral in Bitcoin. There isn't a death spiral in Bitcoin because it's built in. So what Bitcoin does, how it adjusts. Now, the amount of tokens that Bitcoin prints is fixed each year. Right now, let's just say if it's increasing the supply by 2.5%, every 4 years, 4 years from when it went to this amount, and where are we, a year or two in, whatever. In a couple more years, it's going to be cut in half. So then let's say it's 1.75. Is that half? No, 1.25. Then it's 1.25 more, and then 4 more years it's less. So the amount that gets printed in order to pay the miners is just a fixed amount that gets cut in half every 4 years until it gets to 0 in 100 years. And, okay, so that's one thing. But okay, so there is something that's dynamic. Here's the good part about Bitcoin, the dynamic part, why there's no spiral. If there's a lot of computers fighting and a lot of power doing the proof of work, the system automatically makes the solving of a puzzle harder. But when the price starts going down and computers, validators start leaving the system, then it doesn't necessarily become, that you just have a few powerful, that you have less power in the computer. The algorithm adjusts so that it's easier to solve the problems if you have less computer power. And more computer power makes the problems harder to solve. Okay, so that's a dynamic system. That's great. What's not dynamic is that the amount that Bitcoin prints, not only is it not dynamic, it's not really, listen, it's worked so far, and I think it's going to continue to work as far as I can see. However, is the security insured by 2.5%? Well, there's plenty of security now. I'm not worried about it. Then it gets cut in half, and they're going to print this many tokens. Is that going to be enough? Probably. I don't know. Depends on the price of Bitcoin and how many miners or how much money it's protecting, but I don't know. Then it gets cut in half again. Are we insuring security here? I don't know. If you take it out to that 100-year and Bitcoin is not printing any more money, well, how are the validators going to get paid? Right? Well, it'll be transaction fees. Really? I don't know. Everyone's just hodling right now. But maybe in 100 years, I don't know. But here's the thing. It's fine. I'm not trying to say it's a stupid system, but there's some issues of things that haven't been thought through. And again, Satoshi Nakamoto, if you told him when he launched the thing where we would be today and how far it would come, I think he'd be pretty damn excited. And the last thing he was worried about is what we would do in 100 years. So God bless him. But, life goes on. Now, well, how does Ethereum work? So Ethereum has a system where, based on how many validators there are and how much ETH is locked up in validators, it prints, the minimum amount in order to pay for that security. So if let's just say this is not a lot of validators, it's going to print new ETH to pay these guys. And they're going to earn a return, let's just say it's like 15% APY, new Ethereum. So you have Ethereum locked up, and there's nothing, you're one of the few validators. you're going to earn a 15% more Ethereum. That's a good return. Well, why is it a high return like that? Because we want more validators. And I don't, this is not Vitalik and two of his friends went into a room smoking cigars and let's do 15%. No, this is like some of the smartest developers, researchers, 4 years testing and math equations with lots of fancy symbols, that look like this and crazy math. Okay, that's above my head. And listen, part of my research is who do I trust? And I trust that some of these geniuses are a hell of a lot smarter than me, and they're not fucking around, and they care about decentralization. So listen, these numbers are not just picked out of a hat. There was a lot of research that went in. Hey, maybe, we'll see what happens. But Bitcoin, I think when we talk about we'll see what happens, I think Bitcoin has more questions than Ethereum. Certainly more research went into this. Okay. So then let's just say, 50% APY, that's pretty good. Okay. So more validators come. I want to be a validator. I want 15% more ETH. Okay. So now they join and the APY goes down to 10%. And then, that's still pretty good. So more people come. Okay. And then it goes down and, it can get all the way down to 1%. So now it's still printing more Ethereum, but less per validator. And now the validators are incentivized to not validate anymore. I think there's also a limit at some point. It's like, we can't do, no more validators. We can't have anymore. But you're also incentivized at 1% to do something else with your ETH, right? Why is everybody just validating, right? Now you can do other things. So now this return of 15% is not 15% more ETH being printed of the whole ETH. It's 15% for the validators. And the validators are only a small percent of the network. So this 15%, if it's, all of these, I believe, and this I sort of said earlier, regardless of how many the validators, that's the return for the validators, but the total ETH in the network may only grow anywhere from probably 2.5% to, I can't remember what the highest is. It might only be 2%. That's all they need to pay these validators, because keep in mind, validating on Ethereum now, it's a lot less expensive. You can just do it on a laptop that doesn't have to be up 100% of the time. And all you're doing is you got a piece of software and you got your ETH locked in it. It's not expensive. It's not like these giant data centers doing mining with the cooling systems and, chewing up a ton of energy to solve math problems. That is more expensive and it requires more Bitcoin, which leads to the problem of the decreasing, Bitcoin gets cut in half every 4 years, but if the price more than doubles every 4 years, then it's also no problem. So, whatever. Listen, I'm not trying to do doom and gloom here on Bitcoin. I'm trying to say ETH 2.0, we see this, okay? I like the way this system works. And then you also have, on the other side, their transaction fees burn Ethereum. And, I don't know all the math in this, and I don't care how great all these math guys are. I think a lot of research went into it. The reality is, we'll see how it all plays out when it plays out. But the feeling I'm getting is that Ethereum will print in order to ensure security. It all starts with security, right? They're going to print some ETH in order to make sure there are enough validators. And that's going to happen. That's number one. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's going to print new Bitcoin. And if it's not enough, the amount of Bitcoin is fixed. Everyone brags about it being fixed. But it might be a problem that it's fixed. What if it's not enough? What if it's too much? It's a thing. With Ethereum, they're going to print this much, but it's going to be, let's just say, it's probably, if they're printing 1% or less to ensure security, and it's less expensive to do their security, they're printing 1%, and the chain is active, and they're burning fees, and they burn 1% a year. Now you got a fixed supply. Oh, who's fixed supply now, Mr. Bitcoiner? Hey, maybe we'll have fixed supply. Maybe it'll be deflationary supply. Maybe there will be, they'll print. Maybe, you know, 1 year there'll be a crash and people leave the network and there was a lot of validators and now no one's doing anything. And so there aren't burning many fees, but they're printing and maybe 1 year the supply does increase. It's not fixed. But I like that. I understand that it's harder to understand and it's so much easier to say, fixed supply, that's nice. But I like dynamic, but it's dynamic within a range. It's dynamic within a range where it's only going to print probably 1% and burn 1%. It seems to be the middle. And, what was I going to say? I don't know. Okay. What else? What else, guys? Okay. Another thing that I just got to mention, first of all, on my channel, I've got a playlist, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Check that out. I've made a lot of videos about Ethereum against Bitcoin. And like I said, this is not shitcoin versus, perfect coin. It's these are the two leaders. And I'm not shitting on Bitcoin. I like Ethereum better, but one of the points that comes up a lot from some people are just like, oh, proof of stake will centralize. Now, there's many types of proof of stake. Many proof of stake systems do centralize, or I don't like. The Ethereum proof of stake, I made a video about this. If you want to hear all my thoughts on it, you can watch it. I'll put it in the description below as well. Talking about, I don't know, I don't think that the Ethereum 2.0 system will centralize. I believe it was built with one of the main ideas is security. Part of that security and decentralization, it was built with the idea that it can be run by anybody on a laptop. You can't do that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining, and you've got to be a giant friggin', but I'm not saying Bitcoin's centralizing either. I'm just saying this idea that, it's definitely going to centralize too much or more than Bitcoin, it's not a given. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay? And, okay. I think that's it. So listen, first of all, if you could explain this better than me, put some explanations below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. It would help. If you follow my Twitter, Dave Levine 0com, my pinned tweet, my most popular tweet was actually talking about this, of how Ethereum is already more deflationary than Bitcoin. And we haven't even gotten started yet, right? ETH 2.0 hasn't even launched. We're already more deflationary. So you see my tweets. And I want feedback. I understand this might be controversial. Some Bitcoiners, if your ears didn't explode already, maybe you want to yell at me. I like hearing it. Challenge me. Toughen me up. That's why I do these. That's why I'm doing this. It helps me. It got me to study more to try to explain it for this video. And I like your feedback. I appreciate it. Also, if you like the video, please share, help spread the word. Let Google know you love me with likes and subscribes and all that fun stuff. That's it. Let me know what you think, guys. Thank you for watching. I got a video every day. Don't miss it. Thank you.